So here's the next one. I think maybe Charles has a better answer than I have. I think this is the one again that we get a lot too, and as we are involved in the community and we get to meet a lot of people that are interested to become a Scrum Master, and they have taken their certifications. Well, what do they do next? And oftentimes, I hear people that tells me that, hey, Richard, I have my certifications, I've done, what I think is necessary to try and find a job, and I keep getting the door closed in my face. Is that I can't get my door in. What is it that I need to do? What else do I need to show? Isn't just a certification enough for me to get a job? I think it's one of those that it is not easy to get a job as a Scrum Master. If you're in the organization, I think you stand a much better chance of somebody letting you experiment and try out the role. People sometimes, to go through interview process, they're looking for certain things. They're not just looking for paper. I'm not looking for just a piece of paper that says you are qualified. We're looking for the traits of a Scrum Master. We're looking for passion. People are looking for that passion. They're looking for that growth mentality. They're looking for the behavior, the characteristic of a Scrum Master. And it's not just about, I've learned Scrum Guide. I can memorize the core values. I can memorize the 12 principles. It's not that. It is about what is a Scrum Master supposed to do. It's talking about soft skills. Most of the time it's about facilitation. Have you done some facilitation work? Things like that. And that oftentimes leads you to it. Most of the time for me, I want to see passion. If you have passion, you understand what you want to do, then you have that drive to go after it. It's not easy. I completely agree with everybody that says, hey, it's hard to find a job as a Scrum Master. I think absolutely yes, it's hard to land that first job as a Scrum Master. But be patient, you have to knock on a lot of doors, you have to probably be involved in the community, somehow get connected. That's a lot of networking. Because this requires looking at just outside of the technical skills. It's not just technical skills. And sometimes if you have the technical skills, that may not be a good thing for you, because if you come across as somebody that is a developer, then the question is, why do you want to be a Scrum Master? So hopefully that helps. Maybe Charles has a better answer. Let's see what he's got.
So yeah, you see we've been busy, but to wrap things up, probably the most important one is, how did we get our foot in the door? How did I get my foot in the door? I'll be open and honest, I was really lucky because I was in a company that did a Scrum transition. And I mentioned earlier in the video that I was an engineering manager and a Scrum Master. However, even with that, trying to find a Scrum Master role in the location I was at, this was Gainesville, Florida at the time, was really difficult because it's such a niche role. So what I started to do was conferences, going to meetups, and then writing about my experiences, just trying to get some exposure, and that's something that I could point to. Is like, hey, even though I haven't done the Scrum Master role, I do understand the gist behind it. That actually got me an excellent opportunity here in Raleigh. So I'm going to go back to what I mentioned earlier. Meetup.com is probably one of your best resources. This goes back to old-fashioned networking. In your area, see if there's an Agile group or a meetup in your area or nearby. And it gives you an opportunity to meet folks who are either in the industry or in those roles, and you can ask questions and just, see what they're talking about, see what the topics are, kind of immerse yourself in the role or roles that you're going for, whether it be a Scrum Master or a product owner. And that's one of the things that really helped me out. When I got to Raleigh, I joined the Agile Leadership Network and met a lot of amazing folks who I've learned from and have given me opportunities to kind of see what their companies do. So if your local meetup has what we have here in Raleigh, which is a shadow program. So say, for example, you're a Scrum Master. You've never had any experience, but you really want to see what a backlog refinement is looking like. You can ask somebody in our community and be like, hey, can I shadow you for a day and see what kind of stuff you got going on? And 9 times out of 10, the community is really helpful, and the companies, believe it or not, are really open to this because it gives them some publicity also. But you get an opportunity to go see a Scrum Master in action. You get to see backlog refinement in action, or sprint planning, or one of the other events or ceremonies. And the reason why I say that gives you an edge in the job market is if you're looking for a Scrum Master role and say you have had no hands-on experience, you can at least say that, hey, I took some time out of my day or my evening or whatever to go observe what a backlog refinement looks like. And I've seen backlog refinement in company X, Y, and Z, and I've got a lot of diverse ideas on how we can actually do it. Or I've met with Scrum Masters, and this is what I like to do. So you don't necessarily have to be in the role to get a job, but you do have to work really hard to build that network and build that knowledge base. But again, meetup.com, build that network, go from there. That's kind of what I attribute a lot of what my ability to get into a Scrum Master and then later an Agile coach role.